Hey everybody, Wes here from Fundamental Games, and today I'm going to show you a game called MEDEIS. Hopefully I'm saying that properly. MEDEIS is actually the Latin word for magic, and this game offers a chance to play against 1 to 3 other players. It's a 2 to 4 player game in a kind of a magical duel where you're hurling spells at one another or defending yourself against one another of those spells. So let's take a look at what MEDEIS has to offer. It was designed by Zach Luca, illustrations by Rexard Entertainment, and it's created by Iron Cry Games. It's actually available for purchase on the Game Crafter now. There's a website there you can go to. And again, 12 and up, less than 30 minutes to play, pretty quick game, and the concepts are fairly straightforward, but there's some fun interactions involved. The evil dictator of the mythical lands of Skilcia forces the land's wizards to battle to the death for his amusement. You must use your strength and cunning to ensure your victory and your survival. Reminds me a bit of maybe the Hunger Games for wizards. Kind of neat. I like that concept. So that's the introduction. The objective is to use your spells to win the tournament by reducing your opponent's life points to 0, or have the most life points left when all cards have been played. So the deck can only go through one time. The mechanics: you manage your hand to inflict damage by building up combos and counter damage using special spells that you'll draw. We're going to play an example with 2 players. Each player starts with 20 life points, LPs. Now, this is going to be all of the cards the deck consists of. Note that there are 4 of each of the elemental cards, and then there are 2 or 3 of each of the special spells. So I'll run those through real quick. If you were playing a 3 to 4 player game, then you would add in these rage, dodge, and blast spells, which add some kind of a all impact or more multiplayer impactful cards. But we're not playing in that version. So here we go. The rulebook is included in the TTS, and it kind of walks you through this. It talks you through the introduction, objective, setup, including 24 special spells and 48 regular spells, and we're removing the cards as requested there. You could use a 20-sided die to keep track of your life points. The game doesn't come with a 20-sided die. You could use a piece of paper. In the digital version, I'm using a digital life tracker. Keep things fairly simple for me as I play both sides of the battle here. Now, the first person that plays can't play a special spell, and when a player's turn ends, they usually only have 2 cards in hand. And so the first round of play, we start with 3 cards, so we don't draw a card on our first turn. Otherwise, play is fairly simple. Basically, what happens is you'll draw the top card of the deck, and then you will choose a card to play out of the 3 cards that are in your hand. There's not a whole lot of deck manipulation. Actually, I don't think there's any. So the 3 cards in your hand will be really how you play your game. And your cards will always be played face up. The only thing hidden is what's in your hand. So you'll see here that the blue spells are frost attacks. There's no names on them. It's just very beautiful iconographic visual cards, basically picture cards. So you can see here there's kind of like an ice spear, and then that same images on the bottom of the card are on the top of the other 2 cards. So there's like a ice boomerang type of thing, or an ice ball, or here we've got some kind of nature ooze and nature spike and nature claw. This is the nature magic. Here's a lightning magic with kind of a lightning bolt or flame spear, lightning sword. And then we've got a fire blade and a fire dragon attack and a meteor type of attack. So those are the 4 elements: frost, nature, lightning, and fire. But then you have these special spells like stun, inflicting a damage to the next player who also has to skip their turn, can't be countered, a wild card, a shield card to protect yourself, retaliation, a leech spell to try to get some life back, and a heal spell to really get some life back. So what'll happen is all of these cards, we're just going to grab them all right here, group them together, flip them over, and give them a good shuffle. And again, I'm playing both sides of the game here, so it's going to be a little bit biased to me knowing what's happening, but I'll do my best to represent the game. So each player will be dealt 3 cards, and normally those cards would be hidden, but for the sake of you seeing how the game plays out, we're going to play with the cards face up. Now, I'm going to pretend that I am the left player, so let's put a name on the left player. We're going to call the left player here. We're going to call the left player Merlin. All right. And then, so that's good there. oops, apologize for this. I'm messing up here. All right, left player is Merlin. We're going to call the right player Voldemort. All right, so we know which player we want to be. We want to be the left player. Okay, so we're going to have Merlin versus Voldemort. Classic battle of some weird wizards. All right, there's no Fistandantilus, there's no Raceland here, there's no Gandalf's the Grey. We're playing with some other wizards. So Merlin, we're going to try to make Merlin win by doing all the combos. Voldemort, we're going to play him a little bit differently. I'm going to introduce a 6-sided die and just randomize his play. So here. So we're going to randomize his play, and that's not how the game works, but I just want to make sure I'm playing a valid opponent. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6 will be the die roll. Those are the cards that he's going to play unless the cards are ineligible. All right. So I am Merlin. I will flip my cards. I'm going to play first because I am a smart, wise wizard who really wants to take out the evil of Voldemort before he finds Harry Potter's world. We've gone back in time. This is like Terminator for wizards. All right, I'm going to play myself a fire spell. That's the first spell I'm going to play. I'll put it on the left-hand side here. I cannot follow up in a combo. This whole game is built upon building up damage or preventing damage through combinations of cards that match the elements, but I can't do that in this case. So Voldemort, he's got 3 cards here. We're going to roll the die. He has a 2, so he's going to be playing a lightning. So if he had played another fire spell, the damage that Merlin would have dealt would have been prevented. But in this case, Merlin did deal 1 damage to Voldemort. Any spell that goes through deals 1 damage. The reason I didn't deal it right away is in case Voldemort had a way to prevent it, which he did not. So now Voldemort plays his lightning spell, which will be doing 1 damage to Merlin. Now you can see Merlin doesn't have anything that he's going to be able to stop it with at this point, but let's find out. So we're not going to do the damage yet. We know that there's 1 damage kind of on the stack that Merlin's going to take. But it's going to go to Merlin's turn, and before that damage is resolved, we're going to see what Merlin has. So Merlin does have a lightning spell. So what Merlin can do is play a lightning spell, and the 1 damage that would have been dealt to Merlin actually kind of gets absorbed, and now he's firing it back. So it's going to be a 2 damage that's now going back towards Voldemort. And Voldemort, we don't know if he's going to be able to stop it. We'll say if Voldemort ever has the opportunity to stop a spell, he will, which will override this random dice rolling. But if not, he's going to roll the die. Voldemort does not have a lightning spell. He has a heal spell, a nature spell, and a wild card. This continues any spell combo. So if we're playing with the rules that I just stated, anytime he could, he would play this rather than taking the 2 damage. So this continues any spell combo. It counts as 1 damage. So by playing wild, it's not a starting spell, but it is combining on. So now we have 3 damage on this stack of lightning. So unfortunately, Merlin's going to get hit hard unless he finds a way to prevent it. So Merlin draws a card on the beginning of his turn. He has a stun, but that is not going to stop the damage. So this lightning 3 damage is actually going to go through and nail Merlin right in the chest. He's been hit hard. But it's not over. He can do some stuff too. He's going to lay down his stun spell. Merlin says, oh, that was tough. Inflict 1 damage to the next player. So inflicts a damage to Voldemort. And Voldemort actually has to skip his turn. It cannot be countered. So Voldemort, takes 1 on the chin, and the turn passes back to Merlin, who then gets to draw another card. Merlin draws a card. We've got a couple of nature here and a ice card. Nature seems fair. He'll throw a nature. So 1 damage is heading towards Voldemort. He doesn't know what Voldemort had in his hand. Voldemort draws a card. Now, using the rules of Voldemort, I would know that I could play this nature spell because I'd want to find a way. So I would play this. Now, note that if this image matched the top of this image, so for example, if Voldemort had this card in his hand instead, he would not be able to continue the combination because you can't combo with the same image. So just keep that in mind the way this game works. But he can combo with this image. So he blocks / deflects the attack, growing it with this other aspect of nature elements. And so 2 damage is now headed back to Merlin. Merlin didn't realize the power that Voldemort had. It's getting scary. But he draws a card hoping to find a way to prevent. Now, can he chain react that one? We're going to defer to the rule book here for a moment and see if we can find anything about that. So create a combo attack by playing a card whose major spell matches one of the minor spells of the last spell played. You can only create combos with spells of the same color. And so as long as You cannot create a combo attack by playing the same major spell with the last card played. So if you did, it would start a new chain. But it's only the last card played. The last card played in this case is this one. So Merlin can counter-react or add on to this combo. So now we're up to 3 damage, headed back towards Voldemort. Voldemort draws a card, and he has a chance to... Lightning would do nothing, heal would do nothing, retaliate. Return an incoming damage back to the attacking player. After retaliate, the target player can combine the last spell played. So 3 damages heading towards Voldemort. Voldemort, at any time he can, will defend himself, so he will retaliate. So this 3 damage is now going back to Merlin. Now Merlin is able to combine the last played spell, or could counter by retaliate, shield, and dodge himself. So let's see what he's going to do. He's going to draw a card, and Merlin has nothing to defend himself with. So that 3 damage just slams back into him again. Merlin is taking a beating from Voldemort. 3 more damage headed his way. And he cannot stop. So what's he going to do? He really doesn't know. He doesn't see what Voldemort has in his hand. He's got 2 ice, so he could think, if I play ice or frost and they play frost, I might be able to play a 3rd frost and maybe do some of this extra damage back. So let's just put these back in the stack. Merlin throws a frost spell to Voldemort's way. Voldemort draws a card. Voldemort does have a chance to retaliate. We're going to do a random action for this one because it's only 1 damage. Voldemort can usually shrug that off. He's just going to roll and see what he would do instead. In this case, a 6. He's going to take the time to heal. So he's just going to heal. Restore your life points by 3. Can't be countered. So he's just going to go right up to 20. And take the damage that was dealt by... So he took the damage, which would have brought him to 17, and then healed to bring himself to 20. So very simple. Voldemort kind of regenerates, brings back his force, really increasing the gap between them. Merlin's a little frustrated because now this chain of ice has been broken. There's no frost combo because it was broken up by a heal. There's too much time that passed and that ice spell dissipated and did its damage. So now he's back. He's got a shield, can throw some lightning or another ice. He decides to throw some lightning, not knowing what's up with Voldemort. Voldemort draws a card. He's got a couple options here, but in true Voldemort fashion, he will do more damage when he can. So now 2 damages headed back towards Merlin. Before Merlin decides what to do, he gets to draw a card. He can't do anything with those 2 spells that will stop the damage. He could protect himself, and probably a good thing to do at this point. So the 2 damage headed towards Merlin gets stopped by the shield, but no other actions take place. We go back to Voldemort's turn. Voldemort draws a card. We're kind of at a brand new state here. Voldemort can't retaliate, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Roll that die. We have a 2, so he's going to play the nature spell, not knowing what Merlin has. Merlin draws a card, but pretty much has his action planned ahead. He's going to nature that right back, prevent the damage to himself. 2 damages headed towards Voldemort. Voldemort draws a card. He's got a nature spell, but it matches this one, so it cannot be comboed. So he will retaliate, sending the 2 damage that he should be taking back to Merlin. Merlin draws a card, trying to find the energy to stop the attack that he already sent back. And he drew a wild card, so this continues any spell combo. So now there's a 3 as a spell combo. By playing, it counts as 1 damage. Technically, this is the last spell played, so it's a nature spell without an image, which means when we go back to Voldemort, he cackles maniacally. And adds on to that nature. We're up to 4 damage for this nature spell, and this is going to hurt whoever it hits. Merlin, feeling a little at odds with the 2 frost spells that he has in hand, draws another card and is dismayed to find he has no way to stop this incoming attack of 4 damage. He writhes and he twists and he feels poison coursing through his veins from these weird nature spells and barely manages to stagger and get himself back up. He's lost half his life. Voldemort's still at his initial 20. Terrible times. He's going to strike back in with some frost, hoping in all hopes that maybe the battle will now turn in his favor. Voldemort draws a card and sees an advantage that he cannot resist, throwing frost upon ice. So now we have 2 damage on the stack, heading back towards Merlin. Merlin draws a card, and he is excited, ecstatic to see that he can frost right back. Frost damage is up to 3, headed towards Voldemort. Voldemort currently showing no defense in his hand. There's nothing he can do here, so he has a chance for 3 different spells after he takes 3 damage. So the 3 damage guaranteed to take, Now I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 5, so we're going to do a leech spell. Leech spell will do 1 damage to the next player and restore. So 1 damage to him. Voldemort, always happy to gain more life. So even when Merlin succeeds, he feels like he's failing. He's at less than half life now. Knowing that Voldemort had no ice, he's going to try that attack again. 1 damage sent to Voldemort. Voldemort draws a card. Nothing to prevent it, so he will take the damage, and then he will roll the die to see what action he's going to take. He's going to throw a nature spell to Merlin. So Merlin's about to take a damage unless he can find a way to stop it. Merlin cannot, so he takes a damage. Merlin continues on with the Ice Assault. Frost, frost, frost seems to be all he has up his sleeves, but it's the only thing that's been doing damage, so he will continue the Frost Assault. Maybe it's Voldemort's weak point. He doesn't really know. Voldemort has no defense against that, so he takes a damage. Voldemort rolls a die, decides to go forth with a Dragon Fire spell. So 1 damage is headed towards Merlin. Merlin can counteract it with fire of his own. He's got to prevent damage to himself. He really doesn't want to do anything else. So 2 damage is now headed towards Voldemort. Voldemort planned ahead, though. He knew this would happen. And because Dragonfire was not the last fire spell played, he continues. So 3 damage is headed towards Merlin. Merlin draws a card, really not knowing what to do. 3 damage taken. 1, 2, 3. Ugh, he's had lightning damage. He's had nature damage. Now he's got fire damage. His hair is singed. His body is burned. His just doesn't know what to do. But the only thing that's been working is ice. So try again. Ice. 1 damage goes towards Voldemort. Voldemort has no defense, so he takes that 1 damage. And we'll see. What is he going to do? He's going to send forth some fire. 1 damage fire headed towards Merlin. Merlin flips a card. Merlin's got no defense against the fire. No defense at all. And now he's got 3 uncertain cards. He knows frost is really limited. He keeps firing on the frost. Voldemort draws a card. No defense against the frost, so he takes the damage. Voldemort, what's he going to do? Let's randomly decide. Voldemort lays forth some more fire. It's been successful so far, so keep it going. Merlin has no defense against the fire. Us as Merlin, we're in terrible shape. 3 versus 14. There's a chance we could turn it around, but it's getting pretty slim. Let's throw some lightning damage at Voldemort. Switch up our attack style just a little bit. Voldemort draws a card. Voldemort, does he have a way? He can. He can prevent that 1 damage and send 2 right back to Merlin. Merlin, eyes open with fear and anxiety at the lightning blade headed his way, magically finds a way to regroup and send forth lightning spears to block it. So 3 damage is now headed towards Voldemort. Voldemort looks for their resources. Is there any way to stop it? No. 3 damage right to Voldemort. He feels it crackling through his limbs, gives a couple shudders before shaking it off and continuing back on his assault. He's going to roll 6 nature spell headed Merlin's way. Merlin doesn't have a defense against nature. The nature that Voldemort happened to throw his way was the very kind Merlin had prepared, and so it's no chance, and he does take the damage. Merlin goes back to what's been working in the past. Ice. Voldemort has ice defense. He got it just in time, was able to throw that 1 damage back, add it to his own, so 2 damage is headed towards Merlin. Merlin is really scared now, and he happened to have a wild card, so that we will automatically name as Frost. So we have 3 Frost headed at Voldemort. Voldemort looks at his resources. He cannot prevent the 3 damage. He's down to 8. It's getting closer. There is a chance for our dear friend Merlin to win. Voldemort throws some nature magic. He's not ready to leech yet. Nature magic heads towards Merlin. Merlin is smiling. He does have a chance. He could swing the 2 damage back, or he could take the safe way out and heal. Merlin feels that so much assault has happened against him. He's got to take advantage when he can. So he sends 2 damage towards Voldemort. Voldemort is hoping this is his opening. Hoping it's his opening, and he takes the 2 damage. But now he sees the opening that mattered the most. He sends a stun. Oh wait, I'm playing as though I was a player versus Voldemort. We'll let Voldemort do the random thing. If I was a player, would play stun, thereby skipping Merlin's turn and follow it up with a leech, or which can't be prevented, and that would automatically do 2 damage and end the game. But we're not Voldemort. We're going to let Voldemort make the mistakes that most classical bosses make, where they announce their plans and then get foiled. But it actually turns out that Voldemort's plan is my plan. He stuns Merlin, doing 1 damage to the next player, who must then skip their turn, and then follows it up with Leech, which does 1 damage to the next player and cannot be countered. Merlin goes down, his very life leeched away by Voldemort. Voldemort takes that life and reinvigorates himself, and now he's the most powerful magic user known to the kingdom. And he, well, Harry Potter starts, and I think we know what happens from there. All right, that was a game of MEDEIS by Zach Luca. You can see a lot of back and forth in there, some struggles to decide what elements to cast and when. This is just a 2-player game. In a 3-player game, the damage would go around in a circle. So the second player could do damage to the third could kind of absorb it and push it to the fourth. And there could be some interesting dynamics in there if you're playing with more than just 2 players. Now, I'm not going to try that on the table here. I'll leave that for others to experience. But I just wanted to share a little bit about MEDEIS, what the game is about, some kind of the introduction about what it was, and show you how that back and forth works between magic and trying to heal and trying to get life points. Really, Merlin probably should have healed there, but he thought he had an opening and just didn't pay out. So thank you for watching. If you want to get a copy of this game, a really good price on the Game Crafter, or if you just have some questions about it, reach out to Zach Luca. I'm sure you can find him on Facebook or on our website of some kind. And yeah, take care, have some fun, have some magic.